This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe, and let's get right into the news. All right, so we got J. Cole, Dreamville Boss, defending Drake because EBRO recently went off on Drake. Now, I get EBRO's conversation of this is about the beginnings of hip-hop, and, you know, he's criticizing Drake and people like that. And, you know, I always have respected the beginnings of hip-hop. You know, I've worked with, you know, PMD of EPMD. I've worked, I've talked and kind of worked a little bit with DJ Red Alert before. Premier I've worked a little bit with before. I did stuff with Rocksteady Crew in the past. I started on the underground, you know, with like the non-fictions and I did stuff with the Beat Nuts. I did a lot of stuff, you know, like Core Megas, you know, like all that stuff. So anyways, that to say, EBRO, even though he might have started one way, he was the programming director at Hot 97, and he's the main reason why New York City hip-hop fell off. And 50 Cent has highlighted this before because he's the programming director, and they stopped supporting New York City music. The Manos, the Uncle people that were coming up during the DVDs, they weren't really playing them. They were playing. This is when the South came in and invaded, and there wasn't a balance. If you go to the West Coast, you hear West Coast music. If you go down south, you hear South music. If you go to New York, you heard South music around that time. We're talking about 06, 07, 08. And it kind of like killed New York City hip hop, you know? And he always blamed 50 Cent. But it was really him, too. It was a combination of a lot of things. 50 Cent just created a division in New York. But they could have supported New York City hip-hop a lot more. So Boss comes out and defends Drake. And you know what? Listen, I know there's things with Drake that are like, you know, like a lot of people don't like. Listen, Kendrick Lamar preserves a type of lyricism. He's not my cup of tea. I like a lot of songs from Kendrick Lamar. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's definitely on my playlist, right? But just as bodies of work, there's only it's hit or miss with him. And same with Drake, honestly. Like, I like a lot of songs from Drake. There's a lot of songs I don't like from Drake, you know? But there's one thing I can say about Drake. Like a 50 Cent, like, there's a lot of artists like this that push the culture forward. Gucci Mane pushed the culture forward more than a lot of artists did in Atlanta because he discovered new talent and put it on, right? Without a return. Okay? You know, think of the amount of producers that Gucci Mane put on, the amount of artists that he put on that pushed the culture forward in Atlanta. 50 Cent, he made everybody millionaires in his crew and gave them careers and pushed things forward. Then you got Drake. Drake has pushed so many artists through, you know, in different genres. Popcorn and dance hall pushed him way forward. He pushed Afrobeats forward. He pushed R&B artists forward. A lot of stuff, okay? So someone said reggaeton. I don't know. Boss says, my 2 cents. EBRO, Drake is among the most, if not the most inclusive artist of our culture. Put forth. Pushed countless rappers to the forefront. I mean, we're talking like YG, you know. He helped the Migos along with Gucci Mane. So many artists, you know. Like, it's just even R&B, you know. You got The Weeknd. You got Party Next Door, you know. A lot of them. He said dance artists, Afrobeat artists, R&B artists, reggaeton artists, older artists, newer artists. I don't get this culture narrative that's persisted since the battle. If it's the Canadian thing, Toronto, an hour flight from NYC, I'd argue their culture and ethnic makeup is more akin to NYC. It's true. NYC, it's like New York City and Jamaica, to be honest with you, because I don't know if you've been to Toronto. There's white people that speak patois in Toronto. It's the craziest thing ever. It's a big melting pot of. There's a lot of Indian people. They're from India. There's a lot of Indian culture. There's a lot of Jamaican culture, and there's a lot of people, just the New York City influence in Toronto. And then you have Canada, a lot of Canadian pride, Then he says, I'd argue their culture is ethnic makeup is more akin to NYC, pretty much any city in the United States, NYC, Toronto, London. Oh, yeah, London too. Then he says, surely it's not his pen. He's arguably the greatest writer of our generation. Yeah, and he gets help. Not meaning ghostwriter help, but he collaboratively makes... Collaborative music happens, it's just not talked about. Nas has had collaborative efforts in the studio with Foxy Brown and AZ and people like that. Even Cormega, back in the day. Mobb Deep, collaborative with people from the hood, from Queensbridge. I've seen it with my own two eyes. They help each other. And you know what? It's not ghostwriting. It's called being creative. There's a difference between ghostwriter and creative. Ghostwriter is when someone just Diddy has ghostwriters, okay? Like, here it is on the paper. I've seen this too. Diddy rapping off of a piece of paper. I was in there filming a DVD once, and I saw how it works. He gets it on the paper, goes in there, boom. He admits this. I don't write raps, I write checks, okay? I don't get... EBRO hates Drake for some reason. I don't, it's different level. I can respect Drake and Kendrick in their own. I think they're two totally different artists, and I think Kendrick has arguably ushered in the whole TDE movement, because a lot of them couldn't get off the ground on their own. J-Rock set the foundation, and Kendrick sent it home, and everybody, a lot of people were eating over there. There's at least 10, 12 artists that came out of there. And Kendrick kind of like... bust the door down. J-Rock kind of set the charge, and Kendrick busted down, So Kendrick is very important to the West Coast. Very important. Alchemist confirms the new Mobb Deep album is completely done. I mean, this is an easy thing. There was 1 million songs recorded. But I'm going to tell you something. And 92 Bricks put this out just for credit, all right? They waited too long. There was a lot of legal problems that happened behind the scenes that I know about. It's not my thing to talk about, but they were there, and they waited too long. Nobody cares anymore. I care, but that's not enough. If they had dropped this a year or two after P passed, it would have been more impactful. So much time has passed that nobody's going to care. And that's just the truth. It's a legacy thing at this point. They'll have better traction releasing unreleased Mobb Deep songs from the 90s and early 2000s than they will on a new album. That material I've heard just from being in studio, and it is some of the best stuff you've ever heard. And that's what we want to hear as fans. I want to hear that. And that stuff will go much further in the underground. Much further. The longevity of that is endless. And you know what? Stop holding it in vaults. You're not going to make money off that forever unless you release it while it's hot. You can't just hold on to music. It's stupid. Then we got let's see. All right, so then we got Banks explaining how he didn't scam Aiden Ross and his friends for a crypto coin investment. Yeah. Basically, I guess the whole coin that he launched with Aiden, I don't know if he launched it with Aiden, but he says that basically it was just trashed in some Reddits, and it was he says he lost all his money in it. Listen, man, this stuff isn't like, this stuff is risky. You know? Listen, this is what him talking right here. We'll just play
wallets. I gave full discoverability. Come check my shit. Come audit my shit. I lost $106,000 fucking dollars on this coin. I have the logo tattooed on my body. The shit dumped to zero because of the fucking the hate farms. It got flooded to zero. That's what happened.
So Aiden and Faze Banks were like, you know, criticizing each other and blaming each other, but it is what it is, man. They figured it out. Top 5 criticized by Kanye West. Kanye West says, hey, you've been quiet lately. Did you get your revenge yet? I watched documentaries about you. It usually takes about 7 days. What's taking so long? Top 5 says, they're hiding. Shiesty has been on for 120 hours looking for them. I haven't slept in days. Cardi B debuts new music. Drake pokes fun at Anthony Fantano on IG. These two hate each other. Anthony takes this guy's reviews personally. So now this guy's being canceled because of, you know, him saying the N-word and a bunch of other stuff came out about him. And he's being canceled on the internet. But he's not going to get canceled. They've tried to cancel this guy a million times. But Drake pokes fun at him. Karrueche denies being with Deion Sanders to Claudia Jordan, but most other people say cap. And Drake says people were my first thought when they get to talking about the side of their mouth is never fear or doubt. It's they obviously got an album coming out. It's true. It's facts. You know, EBRO fails to realize that Drake's talking about this again because all of his friends turned their back on him. He's not even talking about Kendrick anymore. He's talking about the backstabbing friends. Anyways, it's JordanTower with JT News. I'll check you guys in the next one. Peace.